This is the Sigma Art 15mm f1.4 fisheye lens. A lens like this has never existed before. Look at that crazy big front element. Look at that gorgeous aperture ring that goes all the way down to an incredible f1.4. Sigma admits they're kind of just showing off their ability to make amazing optics, but some photographers do want this extremely niche lens. This 15mm fisheye can produce particularly amazing astrophotography results because Sigma hasn't had to adjust the optics in order to straighten out the natural curves that occur at extremely wide angles. And as a result, you get things like less coma. And while lots of fisheye lenses exist, they're not this fast and they're not this sharp. So finally, if you're a professional looking for a unique look, you have a professional fisheye lens available to you. I have spent several weeks shooting with it. I have a lot of pictures to share, and I'm going to tell you what I think of it and help you decide whether you should get it or not. As a reminder, Chelsea and I have never accepted free money or gear from any camera or lens manufacturer. We do this so we can bring you truly unbiased reviews. So please subscribe to our channel. This video isn't sponsored at all. So we appreciate it if you use our links when you're buying this or any other piece of gear, because that helps to support what we're doing here. First, let's talk about the design. And this lens is huge. Other fisheye lenses I've used have been particularly small and light and just kind of meant for fun. This is not a lens you slap on your camera and throw it around your neck so you can get some funny fisheye shots while you're out walking about. This is a lens that requires some pretty deliberate planning. It's big enough that Sigma had to put the tripod mount on the lens itself, but I like the way they did that because they built the quick release plate here. At least if you use this type of quick release plate, you won't need a separate plate. It also means if you're shooting vertically, like you might for Milky Way photography, you can rotate it and keep everything balanced. This spins around the lens. The focusing ring is just huge, and I found that it made it extremely easy to dial in the perfect sharpness on astro shots, and you can actually turn off the focusing ring. What that does is it stops the camera from refocusing the lens, which with a lot of mirrorless cameras like my Sony's here, if you're shooting astrophotography, every now and then they'll randomly refocus after you've nailed focus. So it just stops the lens from screwing up the focus. Such a thoughtful feature. But the lens is big enough that you would really struggle to use it on something like an A7C or A7CR. You definitely want a camera with a bigger grip if you're going to balance this off of a tripod. This lens is ideal for some types of astrophotography, not sort of deep sky astrophotography, but really showing large shapes in the sky, like specifically the Milky Way. And that's a particular challenge for me because it was sent to me in February, but in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't get to see the Milky Way until the summer. So even though I did take some pictures with nice and clear skies, I can't really use it in ideal situations. Here's a comparison between the old Sigma 14mm f1.8 art and the new Sigma 15mm fisheye, both shot at f1.8. And these weren't taken at the same time and the same places with the same cameras, but we can see a real tangible difference here. Zoomed in 8 times on both, we see coma on the Sigma 14mm lens as we have on other super wide lenses like that. That's the little wings that these stars get. You can see on the fisheye, there is no such coma. Even in the extreme corners, all the stars are very sharp little points. Only in the most extreme edges do I see any hint of coma, and then it's significantly less. But Sigma did provide some pictures showing the aurora borealis. A lot of Milky Way photography includes cool foreground subjects. And if you do that and those subjects are anywhere near the sides of the frame, they're going to be distorted because it is a fisheye lens. That means the center of the frame looks pretty normal, but everything further from the center gets more and more distorted. Straight lines become curved. And that is sort of the other use for this, is as a special effects lens, is just taking pictures of regular things walking through New London. I found it gave me a different perspective on the world. It created images that were unnatural, but interesting. Walking through a town I've walked through 1,000 times, I saw things differently. And I could control whether any given straight line was straight or curved. If I wanted it straight, I put it in the center of the frame. If I wanted it curved, I put it a little bit off center. And it forces your brain to think about things differently. And that's something that's fun about using any fisheye, really. But the fact that I could get professional sharp results with this made it more interesting to me as a professional. And I can definitely see with images like these that you could define a personal style around a lens like this. Now, f1.4 to me indicates two things. One, that it's going to be good in low light. It will gather 4 times more light than an f2.8 lens would. But also that you're going to be able to get shallow depth of field out of it. And this is kind of true. With most fisheyes, you hardly need to focus because everything is in focus naturally because they're so wide angle. From close to far, everything will be sharp. But with this lens, I did find when I had a foreground subject, the background was a little bit out of focus. And you wouldn't notice it at Instagram scale. But if you were to be making a big print, as you could with a professional grade lens like this, you would definitely be able to see that little bit of background separation. If you get really close to a subject, you can get pretty significant background separation. But there was a problem. The sharpness really drops when you get close to subjects. I've never worked with a lens that had different sharpness at infinity or working up close, but Sigma apparently optimized this for astrophotography. And as a result, when you're working anywhere near macro, the sharpness drops. But that's kind of a real problem because with fisheyes, with any ultra-wide lens, you need to find a subject and get really close to it because it's so wide angle. If you're far away from a subject, it's going to be just tiny in the frame. I appreciate the engineering work they put into this, but I do wish we could have gotten sharpness up close because I'm more interested in it for things like street photography and special effects than for astrophotography, just because I don't get great astrophotography where I live, but I do think it was so fun to walk around New London with. Speaking of background separation, the bokeh on this was actually very good. It does turn into cat's eyes in the corners, and there's a little bit of movement, but overall they're very smooth. So should you buy the Sigma 15mm f1.4 art? Well, maybe if you want a truly unique experience. Maybe if you like the effect of fisheye and you want the most professional results possible. Maybe if you don't mind carrying around an extremely heavy and large lens in order to get those effects, maybe the Sigma is right for you. But I'll be honest, it's not going to be right for most of us. I don't think I'll be buying it, but I did want to publish a review so that those of you where this strikes a particular chord, I want you to be able to find it because for what it is the best in the world. Don't forget to subscribe because we have lots of reviews, camera tutorials, and we're live every Thursday at 5 o'clock critiquing your photos. Thanks and bye.